I hope traders and investors alike were green on Friday. Just another amazing day in the stock market. So let's talk about this week. The biggest thing we have coming up this week is Big Daddy Powell himself. We have him on Friday speaking at Jackson Hole. All depends on the questions that he gets answered or asked, versus how the market will react to it. But the way that bonds and rates are putting pressure on the market, I would expect some movement out of that, and I would expect some of the questions uh, to be asked to be targeted around the bond market to see, a lot of people are really worried about the bond market right now. So we do have a couple Fed speakers, the normal stuff like PMI and jobless claims. As for earnings this week, we also have a big week for earnings. Uh, it's not huge, most of the bigger names are out of the way, but we do have Nvidia, Snow, Marvel, Baidu, Affirm, Zoom, Peloton, Alta's reporting this week. Kiss and Macy's is in there. Actually, Kohl's and Macy's is in there. Splunk, Workday, Foot Locker, Audio Desk, GPS, Dick's Sports Shop, Burlington Coat Factory's in there, Dollar Tree. So a lot of retail. There's a few Chinese names, and of course Marvel and Nvidia. And plus we have some of the software names like Splunk and Snow. So definitely some interesting. Wednesday will be the main event with Nvidia's earnings after hours. Definitely some interesting possible catalysts there that we can watch for the week. So let's just get started with the price action. So you can see SPX, we did close pretty red last week. This is kind of uh, the falling, or I'm sorry, this is three red crows, but we do need to see follow through to confirm that. I would like to have that had a better candle in the center, but we did it. It's not textbook, but it can definitely pay out. So breath here trying to push higher. Just one day on Friday pushed up to the 375 on the positive side. And you can see that we did try to push here on SPX equal weight. We tried to push up off the 200, which is exactly what we were expecting on Friday. We were so oversold. We were expecting a bounce. And we did post the breath charts and mainly the breath charts in the Discord on Friday morning just to show how oversold that we were. And we will look at those at the end of the video. You can see the dollar here still strong. We need to clear that 200 there on the daily, still respecting that 9, moving higher. The VIX doing exactly what we were expecting. I mean, we didn't want it to move up, but we got a clear double bottom down here, so we were expecting this move up. These moving averages look great. Unfortunately, it does look like it wants to move higher. We need to clear the 200 on the VIX for it to move higher. The crude, still watching this for a possible handle to be put in. See how we act at the bottom because we are under the 9 and 20 here. See how we act with the 9 and 20. See how we complete that handle. Apple breaking lower out of this little descending triangle-ish move down here. Nice move down on Thursday. Friday, big gap down and trying to push back up, and that's just moving with the markets. Apple intraday, you can see the nice move up here on the 15-minute chart. Gold looking weak, very, I want to say head and shoulders, but either way, breaking down now that pattern, moving lower. Watch your 200 day there. Could see a possible bounce coming in here, with this 200 down here and getting as far away from that 9 as we are. Could definitely see a bounce off that 200. Not expecting much more of anything but an oversold bounce right now. SPX, we are in a correction phase, so let's keep that in mind. This is exactly what we were expecting. So what we're seeing in the market's exactly what we were expecting. The market does look like it wants to possibly move lower, and we're going to talk about that in a minute when we get to the SPY chart. You can see the advanced decline lines all did try to turn up on Friday, still very weak. AMC filling that gap, pushing higher. See how we act at the daily 9. See if we can get a bear flag move and move back down, or will we take that out and try to move higher. AMD, I'm hoping that's a bad print there. Not sure what happened after hours. Pretty decent move up on Friday off the lows. Amazon, you can see we bounced here off the 50, right in between the 50 and the daily 20 on Amazon. Want to clear some of them levels. Still watching that little bit of gap to fill down below. RK with this lower high mover, 1, 2, 3 reversal. Slam down, trying to push back up off the 200. Once again, it's exactly what was expected there on Friday, just an oversold bounce. AMD breaking out of this box to the downside. Friday, once again, gap down, try to push back up. That happened within a lot of the charts. And AMD on the weekly, we are below the weekly 9 and weekly 20. The MACD is starting to cross there. This does look like it possibly wants to see some more downside. You can see this uptrend broken under those weekly moving averages like that. To me, I'm expecting more downside. Um, Definitely need to be careful with the market right now. Just seems a little touchy because we're getting that oversoldness. So we can definitely try to see some moves back up, but not expecting a lot. We're going to talk more about that when we get to the SPY chart. You see Amazon, not a very strong move up on Friday, but definitely did move higher. Weekly, Amazon closed below the 200, still holding that weekly 9. And Apple weekly breaking down below the 9 and 20. That chart also looks like it wants to move lower. That MACD, you have a fresh MACD cross. Please understand you have a lot of charts looking like this. So we are in a corrective phase. This is not how the market was trading in June. You know, the market was raging higher. This market still looks like it has some pulling back to do, but we could see a day or two of the market trying to push higher. Watch your daily moving averages. And we're going to talk about exactly what we're expecting when we get to the SPY chart. Boeing, this double top triggered, been moving lower on this. Friday gap down and tried to pierce back into the previous candle. We didn't get a big enough move into that candle to call it a piercing line candle, but that is a bullish move. Can look for follow through off of that candle just for a move back up to those short-term moving averages and get that bear flag type play. BTU, coal stock, we're not doing anything there. Beyond Meat breaking down lower off once again 1 2 3 reversal, lower high. So you got your pivot point 1, you got your pivot point 2, top of that's pivot point 3. When price crosses pivot point 2 is your entry down to this little contraction pattern and breaking lower. Exactly what we were expecting there. Bitcoin moving lower there as well. Bitcoin daily, you can see the big move in here. So Bitcoin's breaking down. We need to keep coin. Mara, Riot, keep all those crypto names on the radar this week. Communication sector starting to break down. We had a really great move there. It's telling us Facebook is probably breaking down as well. We'll take a look at that when we get there. Consumer staples trying to push back up on Friday. Not quite a piercing line candle here, but a nice push back up on Friday. But that Bollinger Band will act as a resistance level on that daily time frame until it's broken back into. Cost, this is another one started to break lower, starting to fall apart. You got your 50-day down there trying to act as support. So see how cost act on the 50. Those bands are opening up in both directions. This definitely looks like it wants to move lower. Watch for a move to get back into the BBs and see if we can catch a bear flag move back up to the 9 and 20 and look for an entry there. DraftKings, another one, breaking lower. Friday, we gapped down and pushed back higher. That was a great move on Friday for a lot of these stocks, but it's nothing more than an oversold bounce so far. So if that's a real move higher and it's going to see follow through, we will have room to, and we will have plenty of time to make money into it. Datadog pushing back up into this gap. We can keep an eye on this one back above the 9. This MACD's changing character. Starting to see a reversal here. Let's keep an eye on this one this week. Watch that gap. Lily, you know, this is a nice little bull flag. You can draw your line. Still, it looks like it barely closed outside the box. See where we open up tomorrow. So if we go in here, let's go ahead and draw the lines. Get a drawing tool. Go like this. So, because I can still keep it within those wicks. So, in my opinion, it just didn't break out enough. So I want to see that candle close over top that flag line and the next candle open up there. Ford, this is head and shoulders pattern's been working. Oversold bounce on Friday. See how we act back at that daily 9 there. Google starting to break out of this little symmetrical triangle here to the downside, or yeah, it's more of a symmetrical triangle, but starting to break to the downside. 9 and 20 starting to roll over. That chart looks like it's got more to go. Watch this gap down here. It does look like it wants to come down more. Watch your 50-day. Home Depot. This is a double top. Broke out of the double top, gapped out of the double top, and gapped down on Friday right into these BBs. You see how these BBs are closing in. Want to see them open back up. So we gapped down on top of the BBs on Friday. We did try to push back up into the double top or the pattern area. See how we act tomorrow. This MACD is starting to cross. This does look like it wants to move lower. Just that gap down day and pushing back up, messing it up. And you can see a reason why Home Depot is forming a double top, because it is at resistance. So we could definitely see a move back down to your 318 level of your weekly 9. If we do pull, watch your 318 level. IWM intraday, a decent push at the beginning of the day, and kind of softened up into the afternoon. The Qs, you can see here, trying to get back into the Bollinger Bands, got out of them on the way down, gap down Friday, pushed back up, closed back into the BBs, possibly looking for a move back up to that 9. No different than that 1 minute trade we're looking for, how we catch those reversals off the 1 minute chart. Let's keep an eye on it, see if we're looking for the same thing on these dailies, the same thing. Qs, intraday, a nice push there on Friday, not huge range, but we did move higher. Qs on the weekly, under the weekly 9, watch your weekly 20. This 9's rolling over. We want to see how that 20 acts. Can we hold the 20 for a push higher? We're starting to get a MACD cross there. RSI is cooling off nicely. It's kind of what we're expecting to put in. We've been talking about this for several videos or several weeks now. Possible handle being put in here. JP Morgan, we did gap down below that 50, was able to close up back above the 50, but that daily Bollinger Band will act as a resistance level until we get back into it. Mara breaking lower there as well, following Bitcoin down. So we still got Merck. Merck has broke out of this little wedgish area here to the upside. It's got the back above the daily 50. The 9's on the way up. This looks like it wants to go. Keep an eye on this daily Bollinger Band. We want to see that open up. Got a great MACD there. Just be careful, because these head and shoulders, they like to give you some great looking setups, like they're getting ready to go up before breaking lower. The thing with this name, this can be considered a safety name, and with the pressure on the market right now, the selling pressure on the market, so that's always been my biggest fear. They're going to want to come for this one. It's definitely been a rough trader coming out of the head and shoulders. And you can see Meta here rolling over. Meta trying to get back into those daily BBs. You can see them nice move up here on the Meta 15. MU oversold bounce, trying to push back up here as well. And Microsoft daily, same thing. Not a big ranging day here on Friday, but basically just an oversold bounce. These bands look like they're kind of wanting to let price move lower as well. Microsoft intraday, a decent push on Friday. And Microsoft weekly, another chart that we have broken below that 20 on the weekly. So like I said, we are in a corrective phase. NVIDIA took that 50 back, could not clear the daily 20 down there, struggling back below Friday's move, gap down back below the 9 and 50, coming back up, testing that 9 and 50. That 9 looks like it wants to go lower. Watch your MACD there. It's definitely changing character. And NVIDIA intraday, nice push up right into your 15-minute 50. NVIDIA still above the weekly 20, but did close below that weekly 9. You can see the gap down, and then, or where we opened up, and then we pushed up through the week. But Fridays, towards the end of the week, looks like we got pulled back below that weekly 9. And the NASDAQ, not sure how that chart got changed up. My candles got changed up on there with the hollow candles. Anyway, the NASDAQ, we did see some weakness there on Friday. Let's go and fill in these solid candles. So you can see here we did have an update on Friday. Technically still closed lower than the previous day's close, so it still looks like a down day. That's why I don't use the hollow candles like that, because you can still see a red candle still signaling that it was still looking like a down day, because it did close lower than the previous day's close. So we closed lower than the previous day's close. That's why that candle still looked red. But overall we did gap down and push higher. See, your MACD is extremely bearish there. Netflix, same thing here. This is a very rough, but it's very head and shoulderish here. You can draw this line right through this area, downward sloping. This does look like it wants to try to move lower as well. And the Qs on the monthly. You can see the big red candle there. Obviously, this candle is not closed yet. It is not the end of the month, but we're kind of expecting to put in a handle there. Ribbon, seeing some weakness down here. Friday did try to push back up. You can clearly see you got to clear that 50. does clear that daily 50, it could see a pop. Roku, you can see this downtrend right through here. If it can clear that, you can probably see a pop on that name. SPX, this is the daily. Same thing. We gap down, push back up, still outside those daily BVs. Want to see where we open up tomorrow at 4 a.m. Will we gap up? Futures market opens at 6, so that'll be open here shortly to kind of give us an idea of what the market thinks it wants to do. But we do need to get back into those BVs if we're going to push higher. If we get back into the BVs, I'm only looking for a move back up to that daily 9 until we clear that daily 9. SLB kind of breaking down here. We never really got a good move. Got a small move, but that was it. SoFi getting destroyed there. Did have an update on Friday, a lot like what we've seen in the rest of the market. Same thing here with the diamond gap down, diamond weekly closed below that weekly 9. So SPY, what we've been waiting to get on, you can see the SPY weekly below the weekly 9, still above that weekly 20, getting ready to lose this weekly MACD, wants to cross and move lower. Does look like we could move lower. SPY, you can see possible handle being put in there on the weekly chart. We talked about that. SPY daily. So this looks a lot like a head and shoulders formation starting. If you can see the thumbnail, it looks a little better with SPX, but you can kind of see a possible shoulder in this area, possible head. So if you watch your neckline, we're going to be watching just for a possible oversold bounce. And if we do get it, we're going to be looking for a bounce back up to this area, see if we can complete that shoulder and possibly roll over. I'm going to trade it either way. Like if it moves, I'm not going to sit and wait for the pattern to finish forming. I'm going to make money while that pattern's forming. But it's a good possibility of what we're going to have. And you can see it on the thumbnail. So kind of shoulderish. And then we rolled over with a head. We could push up for a soft move up for a shoulder just to roll back down. And that would make sense. And I'm not saying this market's going to go to zero or anything, but we are in a corrective phase. So SPY, watching, and SPX, we're watching for a possible head and shoulders to be formed on that daily chart. SPY intraday, 15-minute time frame. You can see we got resistance here. Need to clear this area. We talked about the 30 to 15 and 30 a little bit on Friday. Looks very inverted head and shoulders here, kind of setting up like it could possibly move higher for an oversold bounce. Square, oversold bounce down there, just getting destroyed. Shopify, another name with just an oversold bounce on Friday. Hopefully we can push up tomorrow and get back up to these daily 9s and take the daily 9s out, maybe start moving back up in the markets. But right now we are in a corrective phase. That's the mood the market's in, and we're going to follow that mood until it changes. And like I say, just expecting nothing more than an oversold bounce until we get start clearing. There's some moving averages there. Tesla intraday, very, very choppy, very, very tight action there on Friday, but it did try moving up after hours. XLK, oversold bounce off the Bollinger Band. Need to get back into that Thursday candle range. Tesla rolling over on the weekly, very weak there, losing the weekly 9. Tesla daily, I mean, we were expecting this chart to come in. You can see we've come right into our previous level of support right here. See how we act. We do have some volume profile down here. So there's quite a bit of support. Fill in this area, we're not surprised. We talked about this, and we're not surprised to fill that gap right there. Now we are at a heavier support level. See how this acts. I would expect some kind of oversold bounce here possible until, look how far we are from that daily 9. So see if we get that daily 9 to catch up. Uber, nice close on Friday, very strong candle there. Chart held in well. Walmart tried to give us a piercing line candle on Friday. Did not quite, handle it. Wasn't a big enough candle. Didn't close high enough. But definitely moving on, expanding volume there. Let's keep an eye on Walmart coming in with all these retail numbers coming out this week. Let's keep an eye on Walmart this week. The financial sector, oversold bounce, getting us back above that 200, still under that daily 50. Got to get them moving averages catching up. The bond market is weak, very weak there. MACD possibly changing character. Oversold bounce on Friday. It's all that was until we see more. IWM showing some weakness here, but we are still holding the weekly 20. That's a good sign. Oversold bounce on Friday off the 200 did get back into the Bollinger Bands. So when I'm looking at that 1 and 5, and we get back in them Bollinger Bands like that, and there's a candle close, we start to look for some strength, just enough strength to get back up to that 9. The same thing I'm looking for there. Put the call ratio 112, bearish. Let's go to the oscillators for the NASDAQ. We posted them on Friday. We were down here in the 300 area. Cooled off a little bit with this 256 on that oversold bounce. And for the New York Stock Exchange, we were over 280, and now we have cooled back off to 227. Still oversold, but definitely better than what, the 300 range, or approaching the 300 range that we were. So still expecting some possible bounces coming to the market for the oversold. Remember, Big Daddy Powell on Friday, so that's our main event for the week. And then, of course, the video earnings. I hope you find this helpful, and I'll see you in the trading room.